The Houston Center for Contemporary Craft kicked off its fall season with an exhibit that will be music to your ears.
There are two artists in this show, Alice Santoro, whose work I'm standing in front of, and Boya Yoon, who's a glassmaker. And they're both really conceptual artists who are working with sound and conceptual sound. Bo is using glass. He's a glass blower and a conceptual artist. And he's using the properties of glass: vibration, resonance, transparency, the fact that it can hold water, all of these kind of material properties to create sound. I think that they're both really engaging in this conceptual experimentation. What would this sound like? How can I make that? And Alice is doing the same thing. She's using cassette tapes. She's a musician and a conceptual artist. These are all woven with cassette tape that she's recorded sounds onto. On some of her pieces, she has cassette tape patches where you can play portions, and she also has created a visual sonic score. So she converted light waves to sound waves.
The Sound of Things is on display through October 28th. The Front Gallery hosts an exhibit that both honors tradition and breaks with it.
Well, Storylines is a group exhibition featuring contemporary pieces by a survey of contemporary quilt makers from across America. What unites them is that they all are quilt makers, and what makes them different is they've all approached this unique traditional form from their own particular predilections about that form, about the history of quilt making, about their own political beliefs, their own personal beliefs, as well as making comments about the place of the quilt in American society today. Quilt is probably one of the most interesting forms of American material culture that we have. Quilts are themselves a record of fabric and of material use and material processes over the centuries. So frequently quilts used to be made out of fabric that had reached the end of its usable life in another component, whether it was in the house as upholstery to clothing to other household furnishings, and they would be recycled into quilts. Some of the most important examples of American quilt making that we have are all made out of these recycled fabrics. The other important aspect of the quilt as an archive of American history is that the patterns that we create in our quilts, the people who are responsible for producing quilts, sometimes they're done by an individual, sometimes they're done by a community. They become a repository of community relations, familial relations, as well as the way that patterns and practices are communicated across generations.
The main gallery looks a little empty right now, but that's about to change.
We have laid out the space where you're going to see some signs from the beginning of the show, but then we will be bringing in individual sign painters throughout the exhibition. We encourage you to come once, come multiple times, and really have an opportunity to meet with these individuals, to really learn about their processes and techniques of sign painting, and to see the space transform. You think about sign painting and you don't see very much of it anymore, and really that's because the trade itself has been replaced with faster and cheaper modes of production, such as vinyl lettering, mass-produced printed banners, and so really the actual trade of sign painting itself has declined over a period of time since the mid-century. So I think really what you're losing is a certain individuality. I think when you start standardizing signs, there's a sense of sameness, whether there's a consistency of font style, of size, and you really can't replicate that individual's use of their own hand and this own signature that they're putting into that sign, and thinking about how that sign plays into the overall branding of many different businesses from around the country.
Storyline and For Hire are on display through January 7th, 2018. For more information, visit www.crafthouston.org. For Artbeat, I'm Stacee Hawkins.